You may be young and promising. It is possible that you have already achieved a resounding success, and the money you have earned is enough for the rest of your life. It's also possible that you've failed, lost everything through questionable investments, or you've just been fired. Whoever you are, whatever you do, your worst enemy already lives inside you. It's your ego. Ego is an inadequate belief in your own exclusivity, significance, and importance. The inner capricious child, believing that everyone owes him, putting his own interests above the interests of everyone else. The ego makes us believe in illusions, see and hear only what we want, and ignore the surrounding reality. And the roots of almost all human problems have to do with the ego. Whether it's the desire to have more, dissatisfaction with what you have, attitude towards difficulties and obstacles, relationships with other people. But usually people don't realize this. They blame people, circumstances, fate, and all that kind of stuff for their difficulties. And today I'm going to give you 7 Stoic tips that will help us curb our ego. This will allow us to always stay afloat. 1. To be, not to seem. To quote Lao Tzu, "He who knows does not speak, and he who speaks does not know." Today's culture encourages people to dream of great accomplishments, but one of the obvious problems of our time is that most people talk too much and do too little. Social media only makes the situation worse. People focus their energy on appearing to be someone they want to be and create the appearance of being active, not just to impress other people, by the way, but primarily to convince themselves that they are doing something significant. It often happens that people who take on a serious job are engaged in anything but its fulfillment. It is much easier to talk about how you work than to actually do the work. Charles Darwin spent decades working on his theory of evolution. Few people knew what great work he was doing because he didn't have time to talk about it. The only connection between work and talk is that one kills the other. Let people marvel at each other's grand plans while you silently go to the lab, gym, or library. I really like the way Ryan Holiday put it. Close the hole, the one in the middle of your face that can drain your vitality. See what happens, how much better you will become. You will stop being a fool and take the first step to becoming smarter. Always remain a student. Epictetus said, "If you want to learn, be prepared to be considered a fool and an idiot." Usually the ego won't let us recognize that someone is better than us or that we are not as good as we would like to be. But how can you learn something if you don't recognize the limitations of your own knowledge? Confucius put it this way: true knowledge is recognizing the limits of one's ignorance. Recognizing that our skills and knowledge need to be improved and evaluating ourselves impartially is not an easy task, but it is nevertheless a key component of any development. Usually, the ego prevents us from admitting that someone is better than us, or that we are not as good as we would like to be. But how can you learn something if you do not realize the limitations of your own knowledge? Confucius said. So, true knowledge is to know the limits of your ignorance. To admit that our skills and knowledge require improvement, to assess oneself impartially is a difficult task, but nevertheless it is the main component of any development. In the early 80s, guitarist Dave "Must" Hammett, who, like many others, dreamed of becoming part of the emerging legend. What would others do in his place after they were accepted into the group of dreams? They were proud, confident in their choice and genius. What did Kirk do? He began to take lessons from the virtuoso musician Joe Satriani in order to become even better. Even masters of their craft are important to constantly improve, but the ego prevents this, because a person will have to admit his weaknesses and question his mastery, calm his pride, and do everything that the teacher says. The ego is like a siren. It sings a soothing song that inevitably leads to the crash of the ship. We will die at the moment when we allow our ego to say that we have nothing to learn. Mark Aurelius said, before taking the position of a teacher, you need to learn to take the position of a student. By the way, even being an emperor, he constantly attended public lectures on Stoicism, which caused general surprise. This position should be taken all your life. Learn from everyone and everything, from the people you've beaten and the people you've lost to, from people you don't like at all, and even from your enemies. At every stage, at every turn in life, there is an opportunity to learn. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Every man I meet is superior to me in some way, and in that sense, I can learn from him." As the island of our knowledge grows, so does the shore of our ignorance. This quote is by John Wheeler. Whatever you achieve, you must always remain a learner. Mastery is not an end point. It is a constant process of working hard on yourself. 3. Make peace with your pride. Often having achieved initial success, people begin to believe excessively in their exclusivity and genius, that they are better than others and worthy of more. A typical example of such people are people who have just graduated from university. They do not realize that they still have to work hard and climb from the bottom of the career ladder because they have a certificate of graduation from university. When you start your journey, you can be sure of a few fundamental truths. First, you are not as unique and talented as you think you are. Second, your worldview needs constant adjustment. Third, you must always be ready to prove your worth by doing. Did you know that future oil tycoon John Rockefeller started working for minimum wage at the age of 16? Do any job well because the path to greatness comes from humble beginnings. 4. Don't lie to yourself. When you achieve some success, don't start thinking that it couldn't have been otherwise. Instead, think like this: I achieved success through a lot of effort, hard work, and motivation. When you succeed, you will not want to remember your moments of doubt, your downfalls, but you must do so. Otherwise, you will become proud and blind. That's exactly what happened to Mike Eisner. This man led Disney to resounding success and later to resounding failure. When he became successful, he stopped listening to the people around him. He started making unimaginably stupid decisions that got him fired. His exceptional faith in his own strength and genius so clouded his judgment that he ceased to adequately perceive reality, causing him to suffer a series of resounding failures. Any labels we identify ourselves with, entrepreneur, genius, investor, writer, only take us away from what we should be doing. They make us believe the story we tell ourselves about ourselves. They make us mistakenly believe that the next level of success will be a natural consequence of the previous one. 5. Control your emotions. Booker Washington said, "I have noticed that the best results are achieved by those who know how to control themselves. These people are never aggressive. They are calm, sober-minded, and always ready for the blows of fate. Everyone will have to face humiliation, and it will not be easy to keep your composure. Your ego won't help you against a publisher, enemies, or a crazy boss. It doesn't matter that they don't understand something or that you know better. It doesn't matter how talented you are, how good your connections are, or how much money you have. If you want to do something great, the attitude will be somewhere between indifference and outright sabotage. Those who have subjugated their egos are well aware that when those around you treat you badly, it doesn't humiliate you, it humiliates them. The ego will resist trying to say, 'I am better than you. I deserve more.' Of course, we want to say those words to other people. When someone doesn't take us seriously enough, the ego wants to scream, 'You know who I am,' but you don't actually have to do anything. Just accept the situation, be patient, ignore it, and work even harder." Self-control is a difficult but critical skill. 6. Treat obstacles the right way. Deal with obstacles in the right way. While success intoxicates the ego, failure literally crushes it. In good times, the ego is just a not-so-pleasant side effect of bragging and narcissism. But in times of crisis, it leads a person to collapse. The sense of self-superiority is very fragile. A selfish person feels threatened by everything around him. That is why he is so afraid of failure. A challenge shatters his rose-colored glasses because his strength is not backed by anything but illusions of his own superiority. Did you know that the American writer Helen Keller was blind and deaf because of an illness suffered in early childhood? But this did not prevent her from leading an active political and public life and helping others. Viktor Frankl, a world-renowned psychologist, went through all the horrors of concentration camps, including Dachau and Auschwitz. He lost his entire family, but nevertheless, he did not give up and continued to do what he loved. He created logotherapy and lived to be 92 years old. Abraham Lincoln suffered from severe depression and was on the verge of suicide several times throughout his life. Ego needs recognition, applause, subscribers, views, likes. Belisarius not only was not worthy of being rewarded for his deeds, he was punished for it. If this had happened to us or to someone of our friends, there would be immediate reaction of indignation. But what was the alternative for Belisar? To do wrong? We face the same problem when we pursue our own goals. Will we work hard for what we can take away? Will we waste time and effort if the result is not guaranteed? With the right criteria of success, we can continue, but with ego, we can't. It's much better to just do what you have to do. The less we are attached to the result, the better. I have repeated this phrase many times. Remember that the path itself is no less important than the destination in which it leads. But ego is important exactly for the destination he is leading to. But the ego is important for the destination. Once Alexander the Great came to the most famous philosopher kinesiologist named Diogenes. Diogenes was warming up in the sun. Alexander asked him what he, the most powerful person in the world, could do for him, the simple mortal. Diogenes answered with a stunning answer. He answered, "Get away and don't cover the sun with me." Even now we can feel what a blow it was for the self-esteem of a man who called himself great. Robert Louis Stevenson said, "It's sad when you work and climb to the top, and having conquered it, you discover that humanity is indifferent to all your achievements. Get ready, it will be so. Perhaps what you have done will not impress your parents, and your girlfriend will not care. Perhaps the investor will not notice the numbers, and the audience will not applaud you. You should not allow only this to motivate you. We will all face misunderstanding, lack of gratitude for the work done, for injustice, for condemnation. But depending on the values, it will either be a crushing blow to the ego or just another difficulty that will make us stronger." Goethe said, "It is important for an active person to do what is right, and whether what is needed will happen should not interest him." That's all for today. If you like the video, I strongly ask you to subscribe, like and share your opinion in the comments. It helps a lot in promoting the channel and the video. Goodbye and see you soon.